Welcome, everybody, to a spooky one-shot. Normally something that would be done around Halloween season, but this time we're doing something special for the post-Thanksgiving / Christmas season. That's right, we are doing a one-shot of the All Flesh Must Be Eaten system that I have titled Black Friday of the Dead. Welcome, everybody. I'm Skylar, the usual host, now your zombie master, as they call it in the All Flesh Must Be Eaten system. The All Flesh Must Be Eaten system is a zombie-based TTRPG. It's a bit older. It's all the way from back in 1999 is when it was first published by Eden Studios, Inc., and it is using the Unis system. There's other systems and such that use this, but the basic gist of it, as I understand, and maybe I'm completely way off, but the Unis system is basically uses like a D10. I don't know. Could be kind of a little bit more to it than that. But at least with the All Flesh Must Be Eaten, we're looking at kind of a D10 based system. You're going to roll a D10, add some skills, and I'll go a little bit more into the mechanics of it. But whatever the case, roll the D10, add some skills, add an attribute, and that's your result, and whether you succeed or not is based on that. With me today, I've got three of our usuals from one of our various campaigns. To my left, I've got Dave. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
I've got fan favorite from our Criminals of Isla Numa series, Fatty Lumpkins.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And another fan favorite from our Criminals of Isla Numa series, Quinn.
Very excited to be here. This should be a good time.
It should be a good
excited
time.
to get into this.
Absolutely. Very, not your little sauce this time.
No sauce.
Instead, I have asked each one of these players to basically, because we're going to be playing in the modern day, and I say modern day a little bit broadly because we're gonna jump back to 2016, America, United States, Iowa, more or less. I mean, is this going to be in Iowa? The setting per se is a little bit fictional in the sense that Fatty, I know you didn't live here in town with us. You didn't know most of us. Dave, I feel like you didn't even necessarily run in the same friend group per se. Like, it was kind of a little bit more outside. Quinn and I, on the other hand, were definitely hanging out together in the 2016. And that's not to be rude or anything to anybody, but I'm just trying to. This is alternate reality where instead we're all friends. We're all friends here in this kind of fictional city, which I didn't really even come up with a name for because everything's going to take place in one primary location, which is the Sunrise Mall. Heavily inspired by our mall here where we live, which again, I'm not going to name drop because that feels weird and I don't want them to get upset. But whatever the case, this is the Sunrise Mall, modern day 2016. So feel free to make whatever 2016 references that you can think of throughout the course of this. But for now, as part of our session 0, I want to talk about the characters. Who is everybody playing? I mean, again, we're playing ourselves, but tell me a little bit about yourselves in your 2016 character format. So Dave, starting with you, if you're cool with that. Tell me a little bit about Dave in 2016 and what that looks like in your character. So for instance, off the bat, you've got your primary attributes, kind of similar to Dungeons & Dragons, with a slightly different wording. So you got strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, perception, and willpower. Where did you kind of land on these stats? And just to give a little bit of reference to listeners, these stats usually range from 1 to 5. So a 1 is kind of I kind of a little bit wimpy within this particular stat. So for instance, if you're talking strength, I'm not really a strong guy. I'm not buff and muscular. I'm probably pretty scrawny. That is what it is. Versus a 5 in strength is I'm pretty much an Olympic level athlete. So I'm way up there. And then everything in between, 2, 3 is kind of around the maybe average to a little bit above average or pretty decent even. Obviously 4, that's pretty dang strong. You might be a local, not celebrity, but you performed well in the high school wrestling or something like that. But anyways, Dave, tell us a little bit about where your character landed in these.
All right. So back in 2016, I would have graduated college, been at my first job at an accounting firm.
Right on.
And so back then, a little more physically fit, probably. So strength 3, dexterity 3, constitution 3.
Nice.
You know, we did some P90X in college, so intelligence 3. You know, my brain was pumped full of all that knowledge.
Numbers.
Perception 2. You know, didn't really know how the world worked.
Sure, you're just learning.
And willpower 1. You know, I was studying for the CPA exam at the time. Did not take much to distract me because that sucked.
Oh man. Well, yes. Okay. So CPA striving Dave is our first kind of the start off for our character, and then Dave jumping into, so the next kind of section here is your character has qualities and drawbacks. So qualities are going to be obviously positive things that your character kind of has. Some of them are a bit more like, I want to say broad or kind of obscure. Some of them are really specific. And again, so drawbacks are you have kind of a point buy system, and I'm not going to get super deep into that because it kind of takes away from like the role play aspect of it. We've already figured it all out. But for you guys listening, these are kind of what you kind of imagine yourself to having based on the qualities and drawbacks that the game kind of listed out. And there's some that I think added maybe, or maybe that's in the skills, but whatever the case, what qualities and drawbacks does 2016 Dave have?
So say good luck. I mean, you could call it good luck or blessed, whatever you want to call it. But I've always been pretty lucky, I feel like.
Nice.
Call it beginner's luck, just luck in general. Photographic memory. I don't have photographic memory, but memory's pretty decent, I'd say. So I gave myself a positive to that.
Yep.
Yeah, and then fast reaction time. You know, reflexes were a little faster then. All that Call of Duty I played in college. And then for the drawback side, though, well, I guess one of these is really more for now, but I didn't even realize that until this moment. But paranoid, it wasn't until more recently I started listening to more Joe Rogan.
And it's just got you on it.
Those kind of podcasts. So podcasts weren't really that big of a thing back then. They were just kind of starting.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll still roll with that. And then physical disability, I guess you could call it. Depending on what I eat, my bowels would get a little inflamed. Oh, IBS. D, if you must know.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had kind of a lesson in IBS, the different forms of IBS from resident expert Fatty Lumpkins.
I wouldn't say it was much of an issue, but there was one incident after a Subway, but we'll not go into that.
And so for that reason, so that you could kind of take like different levels of how much this, physical disability affects you. And so we only put it at a level 1, which is the lowest level. Not saying that obviously IBS isn't obviously a difficult thing to live with. But it's not like you don't have an arm in the sense of a zombie apocalypse situation. It's not like not having an arm that you can fight back with or defend yourself with. But I definitely think it's something that could come up in a situation of fear and terror. So fantastic. All right. And then last but not least, and Dave, yours is the longest list easily between the other players. But you have the skills. Now, the book itself, for All Flesh Must Be Eaten, has a list of skills, and it's a pretty big list. You get specific with things, right? So like rather than just saying, I'm good at science, you would specify what area of science that you feel like you're particularly good at. So you could say, I'm science chemistry, I have levels in that. I also am pretty good at biology, so I've got levels in that, and so on and so forth. So you can get pretty specific with most things, but whatever the case. And then, of course, similar to the levels that we mentioned before, 1 is like, I know a little bit here and there, maybe more than the average person, whereas 5 is like, this is what I am an expert in, kind of a thing. So I told these guys, I said, I want you guys to think of whatever you feel like you in 2016 was into, was good at, whatever the case, and just list that out. That's what I want you guys to go with. So we've got some really interesting ideas here that are going to come into play. So Dave, tell us a little bit about some of the skills that you came up with.
You want me to run down the list?
Yeah, go
here?
for the list.
Okay. Got sense of direction, which funny enough, that's comes from all the Minecraft we played in college. Played a lot of video games in college.
Yeah.
Here. A lot of free time.
Yeah.
Random item recall, which is, you've probably seen that meme. A lot of guys have this, like where, oh, you need a paper clip? Yeah, it's right next to the file cabinet.
You know, it's funny. I feel like I have the opposite of that. I will like set my phone down and then like turn around and turn back and be like, where did I put my phone? So
I did have to help my roommate quite a bit in college locate his missing objects. They're like, I can't find my phone. I'm like, oh, it's under your pillow.
Nice. It's right there. That could come up for sure.
Climbing, longboarding,
Nice.
board games.
Absolutely.
That's right when I was getting into board games pretty much. Well,
Sweet.
a little bit after. Hiding. I would hide in random places and scare people sometimes. Idle endurance.
Yeah, tell me what
So this
that
one,
means.
I made up this one. Some people, they're in the car. They got to have music playing or whatever. Sometimes I'll just drive with nothing.
Nice.
Or just I'll be doing nothing, and that's okay. Maybe I'll just be staring at the computer screen instead of studying for the CPA exam. Pizza cutting. I worked at a pizza place back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
This one, there's official one called financing, but I called that business time.
Business time.
Business major, accounting major.
Yeah.
Procrastination. So this one is my idea of, you could also say maybe works under pressure.
Yeah, like I set it aside so long that it needs to get done now, and I can work with the pressure.
Some of you are familiar with the procrastination monkey that gets you into gear.
That's right.
Role playing. That's probably when I first played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Then guns, handgun, shotgun. I did some hunting,
Nice.
some shooting.
That'll come in handy for sure.
Stealth, and trumpet. I played the trumpet.
Nice.
Don't play it too much anymore, but still
But
have
at the
it.
time, 2016. Oh, and swing dancing.
Oh yeah, swing dancing. That didn't make. Oh, it's not. Oh,
It's
it
over
is.
on the other
It's on
column.
the other column.
Yes.
I filled up a whole column.
Swing dancing. That if that comes into play, which I
Just
hope it
imagining
does.
this cool montage of Dave swing dancing through this horde of zombies.
Yeah, the zombies. He's like,
Nice.
I can get through the zombies.
Flipping them around,
By-
whipping them.
Oh my gosh, I never even thought about it. That's a brilliant idea. Guys, how are we gonna get through these zombies? I'll show you. Proceeds to swing dance
Cue
the zombies.
Louis Armstrong.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. That's not a bad idea. That'd be kind
It's
of cool.
all in the hips. It's
Yeah.
all in the hips.
Wake me up before you go.
So just to jump into it before we jump over to the other characters. So just to talk about that. So like for instance, in the situation where Dave wants to swing dance through this entire horde of zombies, that is absolutely something that you could in fact do. So basically what I would tell you is, and this is how checks work, right? In Dungeons and Dragons, you'd have that huge list of skills. So I would say to you, okay, well, roll me a stealth check, and you would roll your D20 and you'd add your stealth modifier, and then that's where we'd be at. In this game, you roll a d10, and then you're going to add a relevant attribute. So strength, dexterity, constitution, etc., etc. In this case, let's say for the swing dancing, we'd say dexterity. And then you would also add a relevant skill, which in this case would very much be swing dancing, which is another +2. So Dave, your dexterity is +3. Your swing dancing would be +2. So then you're having a 5 plus whatever you roll on the d10. If it is a 9 or higher, you succeeded. And there are different levels of success, of course. So like the higher you roll or the higher your number, the better your success is. And the more like you're kind of going to get out of it. Versus rolling under a 9, you're not swing dancing through them zombies.
Oh, no.
Them zombies swing dance you right where they want you. So that's basically how that works. So with that in mind, you know, thinking about all these different skills that you guys have put down, that's where those are going to come into play. With that being said, let's jump over to Fatty Lumpkins. Fatty Lumpkins, tell us about your choices in attributes.
Okay, so circa 2016, Fatty
Yes.
Lumpkins was just graduating undergrad.
Oh, okay.
And with all that crippling student loans burning a hole in my pocket, I thought, why not go back to school? So I was in the process of starting my first year of pharmacy school.
Oh.
And so it was not a very fun time in my life. So there's going to be a lot of boring skills like reading and memorizing. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll come across Barnes and Nobles or something and they might come into play at the mall.
It's entirely possible. In fact, I do have a bookstore plan, so there you go.
But for primary attributes, I, despite the name, would not consider myself very strong. So strength is just at a 2. Not in the worst shape of my life 10 years ago, so we'll give my dexterity a 4. And then because I made it into a grad school, I had to give myself a little pat on the back and give myself an intelligence of 3.
Yeah, I would hope.
And you can't make it into a grad school without a bit of willpower, so I had to put that at 2.
True.
And so that kind of leaves the last 2 to round out, perception and constitution. Those, I guess, my rationale is I was alive, so I'll give myself a constitution of 4 and a perception of 2.
Well, what else did you say? You said you lived off of some probably not the best of foods.
Yeah, and I'll kind of touch on that. I think that'll
come
in the qualities and drawbacks section.
Perfect. So, I mean, yeah, that's fantastic. Let's jump into those
Dive right into there.
choices of qualities and drawbacks.
So yeah, in college, I'm sure everyone is probably aware that the sleep and the meals are probably not the best.
Yep.
So I think that was probably one of my, I'll call this a quality, resistance to, exhaustion.
Yeah.
So
Especially with
did
graduate
become pretty
too.
adept at studying for till 2 a.m. in the morning and taking a nap, waking up at 6 a.m. to start again. So we're going to give myself resistance to exhaustion. On that same note is really did not put forth a lot of effort when it came to the cooking, so I will be the first to admit that I threw together some gnarly combinations.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to consider that resistance to poison.
Absolutely.
It is a miracle that I did not end up with food poisoning. And to this day, food safety is a joke.
And we have had discussions about that now that I think about it.
Yes. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
It does. It does. It helps you fight
Or
the
it gives you
bacteria.
IBS-C.
Or it gives you
Or D. So some of the other qualities, situational awareness, that's,
Yeah.
I enjoy people watching, so we'll call that
Ooh.
situational awareness.
Okay.
And then for drawbacks, I usually just say pharmacy school killed all the fun in me, so that's kind of where I gave myself a drawback. And to contrast Dave's good luck, I do not have a lot of luck, so I'm going to give myself bad luck on that.
Awesome. And just for those listening, so as far as the luck works, so Dave took good luck, and on the other hand, Fatty has taken bad luck, and they work basically the same way. They are points either in positive if you took good luck, or negative points if you took bad luck. And those points can be used at any point during the game to either benefit a particular situation, in which case you'd want to spend the good luck, or hinder a situation when you're willing to spend the bad luck. So, for instance, if Dave were in a situation where he really needed to make this, he was trying to shoot a zombie and he really needed to make the shot, he could say, All right, Skylar, I want to spend a point of my good luck to add a +1 to my roll here, and to ensure that he gets a 9 or whatever the case. On the other hand, Fatty has a point in bad luck, and the way that we've kind of justified this, because you're probably thinking, okay, well, if they get to choose when they get to spend it, could Fatty just say never by the end of this campaign, not have spent it? To which I said, and honestly, you had pitched it, which was, if you haven't spent it by the end, when the end comes up and whatever big showdown or whatever is going on at the end, I as the zombie master will spend it for you. I will take that -1 off of something important that you're about to do, maybe to keep you alive or to keep an NPC alive. So it's one of those things where, you might find a situation where you say, hey, I feel really confident, or I have a lot of numbers loaded up on this particular skill. I'll take the bad luck now and probably still succeed. And that's definitely a way to do it. But otherwise, that's how luck works in this game. Normally it'd be used in kind of more of a supernatural situation, but we're really setting this in real life per se. And some people are just lucky and some people aren't. It is what it is. So, but anyway, sorry, jumping back over to Fatty Lumpkins, your skills. And
So yes,
you've got a list here as well.
and I think I'll piggyback on Dave's take here. Is I played a lot of Minecraft in college, and
Yeah.
I would say that I was pretty good at it.
All right.
Just making some of those cool sculptures, only to log in the next day to find out that your roommate had put a penis on one of the sculptures. So I was pretty good at disguising that.
Oh, okay. Just put some clothes on or
Yeah.
some underwear.
And then some of the skills are the boring ones that had come about from school. So there's math and general note taking, rote memorization. Maybe there'll be a puzzle or riddle that we'll need to solve, and I can memorize it's left, right, left, right.
That's right.
We'll see.
Up, down, R, L, R, start.
Some of the other things is played a lot of disc golf in school, so maybe I'll find myself a pile of plates that I can fashion into discs and chuck at the hordes of zombies.
Find
And then
some
other
symbols.
skills just came about from random summer jobs, so mowing, power tools. Maybe I'll find myself in a Sears and be able to weaponize some of those materials.
Power tools are very weaponizable for sure.
And what else? I've kind of been skipping around here. So computers. I'm a millennial. I should be
Yeah,
somewhat
exactly.
familiar
That's-
with computers. I enjoy the general trivia, so useless knowledge. Maybe I'll be able to flout some of that about.
Pairs with the memorization stuff pretty well.
Particular categories of useless knowledge include the skills of being a big Lord of the Rings fan, big Harry Potter fan, so maybe I'll be able to make some of those references. If not, I recommend reading those. So
Yes.
go to your local library.
Absolutely.
And then I think that about covers it.
The only one I see that I don't know if you mentioned was customer service.
Yeah, that goes with the summer job.
Yes.
So mowing, power tools, and customer service.
Mowing, power tools, and customer service.
Those
That's the
are
big
separate
three.
jobs. One job does not equate all three of those qualities.
I didn't give good customer service from 2 of those. You only get one thing from me, and it's either customer service, knowledge of the product, or
Exactly.
Awesome. Fantastic. So that takes care of Fatty Lumpkin's character. And then last but not least, we'll jump over to our last player. For at least where we're at right now, there's a possibility we might add in somebody depending on where things are at next time we record. But right now we have Quinn. Quinn, tell us about Quinn in 2016.
Unlike these guys, I was working a couple different jobs.
Yep.
So I put for the primary abilities, like I just kind of went with even across the board.
Yeah, you are
Just
pretty even. Yeah.
Just even across the board, and I put a little extra in perception and constitution.
So it's like 2s and 3s.
Twos and everything except perception and constitution. I did 3s and those. I just kind of evened it out. I feel like, I wasn't really
An average guy.
just pretty average.
Yeah.
Just really, for some of my qualities, I used acute senses.
Yeah.
I put a couple in that. Good luck. I put a couple in that.
Absolutely.
Even though get into it later with my gambling. The gambling just turned 21, and so the gambling skill, I feel like I had good luck, even though I probably didn't. And then the resistance, I can hold it.
Tell me about that.
I have a fear of public restrooms.
Yes.
So I've been made fun of and joked about. I tend to not like using a public restroom, so I can hold it.
Have you seen the status of our public facilities?
Well,
it's
disgusting.
It's not good.
It's not good.
I actually really appreciate this because there is a situation. So throughout the game, I will have, if something happens, something comes up, you guys will be making fear rolls. And fear rolls, basically, it's kind of like everything else that we've described so far. You're going to be rolling the D10. You'll be using your willpower. And basically, it's to keep yourself from you guys are regular people, right? Like your average dudes, 2016, you haven't experienced war or, horrible tragedies or things that would really horribly traumatize a person. And then all of a sudden you're thrown into a zombie apocalypse type situation. And you're going to see things that you've never seen or ever wanted to see before in reference to that. And so that causes fear, right? And to emphasize on that fear, that's when you have to make those fear rolls to avoid freezing up, or in Quinn's case, maybe peeing yourself, right? So by having the resistance of I can hold it, it actually very much could come into play if you were to ever hit that point where you might end up peeing yourself, which would be a problem, right? It's going to cause some inconvenience, to say the least.
Yeah, and then just for some skills, I'm not going to go through everything.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But I had a couple driving jobs, so I put my skill at driving as a 3. That would be for a car, and then I did get into driving like a bigger truck towards the end, so I'm going to put that as a 2.
Yep.
Kind of like them computers, electronics. I'm not the most knowledgeable, but I do know a little bit. So yeah. I just kind of put those at just an average, like a 2 or a 1. Gaming, kind of like they were saying, I had that in there, as at a 1. Cooking, I worked at a taco place for quite a while.
That's right.
The gambling's in there. The one that I'll say is the funniest one probably is I for a time worked at a nursing home.
That's right.
So I know an awful lot about wheelchairs. So wheelchair operation is a 2. So you never know. But I know how those wheelchairs work. So,
hey, as people that probably haven't used a lot of wheelchairs between the rest of us, I don't know, maybe Fatty, you've had some experience in the medical field? No? Okay. So between the rest of us, we don't know a whole lot about the ins and outs of wheelchairs. So you've got all the secret knowledge of those, probably plenty of little levers and other things.
Well, there's really not that much.
Oh, okay.
But very well might be able to weaponize one. You never
could.
know. You never know.
If anybody out there who's listening has ever played Dead Rising 2 / any of the sequels, there's definitely at least one, if not multiple, wheelchair weapon mods that you can make in the game. And they get wild. They get pretty crazy. So
yeah, we'll see if that comes into play at all.
Awesome. All right. Well, that is everything as far as these guys go. This will come out at the same time that episode 1 comes out, so you guys can definitely check that out as well right after you finish listening to this. Like I said, as the Zombie Master, I've created basically a 2016. It's Black Friday. So Thanksgiving night, I know we all call it Black Friday, but ironically by 2016 it had worked its way into a holiday about giving thanks. And it'll be set at around 6 p.m. I actually looked up, I had to Google 2016 Black Friday ads. And I actually got slapped with some nostalgia because I explicitly remember being at home, because we would have been on Christmas, just general break from those of us that were in college, looking at these ads and circling items that I was going to go run out and try to get once the sales started at about 6 p.m. was how far it had gotten. And I think that was pretty much the max. I think that's about where things hit. We're in 2024 now, after everything that happened with COVID. I mean, Black Friday is pretty much extinct at this point. It really doesn't exist because everything's online now, which is honestly nice. I'm not trying to sit here and advocate against it, but at the same time, I think we all saw some of the sort of modern day first world atrocities that kind of stemmed from Black Friday, people trampling each other, and just the general irony of we're here on a day to give thanks, and instead we're out beating each other up and pushing past each other and so on and so forth to get a deal at a store. It's unfortunate. But I'm excited to jump into this, so I will jump off so that you guys can tune into episode 1 of Black Friday of the Dead. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of our All Flesh Must Be Eaten one-shot Black Friday of the Dead, which represents our celebration of the holiday season. We hope you're enjoying a little zombie fighting action amidst your Christmas fun. If you are, we encourage you to check out some of our other series, such as our Avatar Legends long-term campaign Benders and Brews, which is set in the world of Avatar The Last Airbender, or our Dungeons & Dragons long-term series Criminals of Isla Numis. If you're looking for more spooky actual play content from us, I encourage you to go check out our Hunter's Haven series, which now has 2 different stories. Music Mayhem, which was written and run by Cameron, who you heard in this series, and Trick or Treat, Fight or Flee, which was written by Nate Vaggart, who you can hear play in our Escape from Dino Island one-shot. Whatever you listen to next, be sure to follow or subscribe to the Session Zero Heroes podcast on your preferred podcast streaming platform. You can find us everywhere from Apple Podcasts to Spotify to YouTube. Following the show ensures that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming series and one-shots. And if you're on a platform that allows you to comment, like, or rate our show, it would mean a lot if you would take the time to leave us that feedback, as it helps us grow and produce even better content. Another way to keep up with us and what we're doing is to follow us on social media, whether that be Facebook, X, Instagram, Discord, or all of the above. It's a great way to keep up with our upcoming episodes, as well as other fun news and content from us. We appreciate you taking a listen. The series will air through the month of November 2024 and into December 2024, so be sure to swing back to get the rest of the exciting conclusion to this special holiday zombie series. We'll see you guys next time.